Well, here's another stolen item from eBay. Here it is, but this time it's a bit different to the last one I made a video about when I had a Chinese snuff bottle stolen from me. This is a very different item, incredibly distinctive as you can see. It's a real rock and roll ring from the 1970s stroke 80s, and it's got those red eyes. And just take a look at those red eyes. I mean, talk about being distinctive, particularly his left red eye. Look at those dots, those holes in the red material. There's only one skull ring in the world like that. So super distinctive. Take a good look. This is a stolen item. So if you see it, then let me know. We might just bag the thief. That's a very different story, this. Let me tell you what happened. Or differently put, you tell me what you think happened. And by watching this video, you know, it might just save you some heartache, trouble, sleepless nights, and loads of money. Because when you're selling things online, there are all sorts of pitfalls. And when you hear this story, you can't really make it up. There's nothing odder than reality. So you tell me who you think stole this ring, because it's definitely been stolen. So what happened was, after I uploaded my last video about the stolen object, the Chinese snuff bottle, on eBay, somebody who follows my channel here on YouTube got in touch and said they'd had a similar but different situation. They sent me the pictures of the ring and told me the story. See if you can get your head around this. The seller, my YouTube viewer, had put this ring on an eBay auction. So now take a really good look at this thing. Yes, it's a vintage 70s, 80s solid silver ring. It's slightly misshapen, as you can see in the photos. Listen, it is rock and roll. You'd expect it to be a bit knocked about. Surely it could tell some stories, I'm sure. But it's all part of what makes this a proper vintage and interesting ring. But what's really unusual here, again, take a close look at those eyes, the red eyes, especially that funny one, the left eye with the couple of odd pop bubbles in it. There's only one of these rings, as I've mentioned, in the world. There is no doubt about it. So again, it's very distinctive, and these points are crucial to the story, so stick with me. Anyway, it was sold for £48 plus postage, and the buyer paid immediately. However, a couple of days later, the buyer sent an email to the seller saying that the ring had actually arrived damaged. It was bent, so they sent this picture. Take a look at that. Yes, it's a bit bent. It's a 1970s, 80s rock and roll ring. I mean, it could tell some hair-raising stories, I'm sure. And if you were to look at the original eBay advert, the ring is exactly the same. So it didn't actually arrive bent. However, the seller made the right decision by just simply offering the money back. So we assume the buyer just probably didn't take a very close look at the ring. Just give them the money back and resell it again. Keeps life simple. Sounds all very straightforward so far, doesn't it? But this is where it all goes terribly wrong. You see, the buyer took a number of days to post the ring back. And coincidentally, unfortunately for the seller, they were in the middle of a house move. So they lived in central London in a shared flat. You probably know the kind of thing. 5 people living in a flat, individual people in individual rooms, sharing a bathroom and a kitchen. Fills me with horror, but that's just how they live in London. And she was in the middle of this move, and unfortunately, the package arrived the day she moved out of the flat, which isn't such a problem because there are other people in the flat to take the delivery, and this is what happened. So one of the tenants called the seller and said the package has arrived and sent them a picture of the package. There it is. Do you notice the brown tape around the package? This is crucial. I'll come back to that in a minute. As you can imagine, the seller was busy moving into the new flat and took several days to go back to the old flat to pick up the ring. In the meantime, knowing that the ring had indeed been delivered to the old address, she refunded the buyer the full money, not expecting anything to go wrong. Unfortunately, she was completely wrong, because it did go wrong, and very badly. So when she arrived back at the old flat, she sat in the kitchen chatting to one of the old tenants, and there was the package. She opened it in front of one of the tenants and got the shock of her life when this is all she found: a packing note, some packing material, and something that was quite surprising: a package of 2 coins wrapped up in bubble wrap, obviously to give the sense of weight, and no funky rock and roll ring. That thing at this point had been stolen. So who's nicked it? There can only be one of 4 options here, as far as I can see, unless you can see something different. So option number one, the buyer themselves bought it, pretended there was a problem, didn't send it back, put some coins in, got their 40 odd quid. Highly unlikely. I've looked at the buyers' feedback. They've been on eBay for 10 years. Why do that for 40 odd quid's worth? So I would say that's a non-starter. Option number 2, somebody in central London. It's, London is a different country, let's be honest. In central London at the post office, saw this thing, looked interesting, opened it up, took the ring, put the coins in, put the brown tape on. And the reason why I said earlier on, look at the brown tape, is because the seller went back to the buyer and said, did you tape it up? And they said, no, it's just in a plain brown box with no brown tape. I believe them, so did the seller. So yeah, the post office, did they do it somewhere in central London? Over to you. Option number 3, somebody who lived in the flat, saw it, opened it up, stole the ring, repackaged it. Option number 4, work with me on this one. This is my favourite option. The letting agency who handled these 5 bedrooms in the flat, by all accounts, are a complete nightmare. And they put a handyman in the old bedroom, the seller's bedroom, are you following me, for a few days to do some work. They didn't tell the rest of the tenants, and apparently this handyman was just a bit odd, seemed a bit creepy, wandered around the house, made food, and nobody was expecting him. The letting agency didn't tell the tenants that this guy had moved in. He was there alone during the day and disappeared after a couple of days. So who do you think nicked that ring? Because the only thing we know for sure is it has been stolen. Let me know in the comments down below, and if you can think of any other ways that thing has been nicked, then let me know as well. My personal favourite option, without a doubt, is the handyman. Over to you, and let's try and find this ring, because somebody's wearing it, somebody's given it as a present, or somebody is trying to sell it, and there's only one like that in the world. Take a good look at the eyes there. If you see this ring, you will recognize it if you compare it against these photographs. So wouldn't it be great to bag a thief and get that ring back to its rightful owner? Over to you. Let me know down below, and watch out there online, people, eBay and other places. There are so many pitfalls, and let me know if you'd suffered anything as interesting or horrible as the story I've just told. Listen guys, thanks for watching. I'm David Harper. Hopefully I'll come back with some better news next time, but keep aware, keep sharp, and keep an eye out for that ring. Until next time, cheerio.